All right, folks, Darth checking in with you again, here to review Season 1, Episode 3 of Amazon's The Wheel of Time. Episode 3, um, something I haven't talked about in the first two episodes reviewed here. The intro scrawl is kind of a loom weaving together this image of the seven Ajas, or a woman from each of the seven Ajas. And the CG and opening song are both. I can see again how they were trying to do a Game of Thrones esque thing, but I don't think the song's as catchy, and I don't think the CG is as good. It's not as memorable as those houses and castles being built up. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but I really, really like the gold Ouroboros at the end of each one. So quite happy with that. We enter in on scenes of Nynaeve getting drugged by that one Trolloc, which is a cannibal, her escaping, and then killing it. I thought all of that was great. She is just badass, isn't she? And then cut right back over to scenes of her and Lan together. Um, I think actually he knocks her out before that, but all of that stuff is great. Those two actors play off of each other really well. There's a really good dynamic there, and from that we're straight into a another dream sequence. I like that those are happening regularly enough that somebody watching the show who doesn't understand will quickly get the hint of, oh, okay, this is what's going on. This episode did not feel like it was an hour long. I thought it felt pretty quick, and I didn't think that it felt rushed. So that was a nice combination. That might be just because of how familiar I am with the books, but there's a lot of stuff here that's not in the books. We're still painting in broad strokes, as it were. So I think that maybe the pacing is just good, fine as is. But oh gosh, that second dream sequence, it was clearly better than the first one. The CG was better. We could see the guy with fire in his eyes that were kind of watching what was going on there. It was creepy. Good, good overall. Very happy with that. I was thinking that maybe the clothing that the character that was riddled with arrows, the one that was hanging up that Matt kind of grave robbed later in the episode, I was thinking there was something important about their clothing, that we might find out that they're from a particular culture later on or something like that. I'm sure that that's foreshadowing of something, because they hung on the shot of them for way too long for it to never matter again. It's what I got from that, at least. And a lot of this episode took place at night. It is very atmospheric. I thought that it looked nice. They didn't have to rely on CG as much, and it was almost a bottle episode for most of the characters. So that was interesting. That was really interesting, because they've definitely got the budget to where they don't need a bottle episode. But in any case, good character development on this one. That's important. Anybody that's went a couple hours in wants to know what the people are like, and we're getting some of that. We're even getting some of Matt being sour, and that's gonna. The reason for that will be revealed in coming weeks for those of you who are watching this review. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but it's not just his personality. Okay. Moving on to Tom, the Gleeman, the guy that was playing music and sang the song. I got a really good vibe from him. I really enjoyed that actor's portrayal of the character, And I thought that just instantly he was stealing any scene that he was in, which that fits Tom. That fits Tom really well. So that's great. They also gave our characters additional motivation to progress with their quest. One of the main focal points here is that while Egwene wanted to kind of leave the town and go do her own thing, the other characters from the Two Rivers really didn't want to leave. So they need catalysts that keep propelling them forward. And those are different from what they were in the books. The show is changing a lot of that up. So I'm glad to see that it's relatively just about as strong as what was happening in the book series. It's nice that we keep coming back to that and putting roadblocks between them and going home. Otherwise, that would create plot trouble later on. Speaking of Egwene, she has a lot of agency. I think that she's the strongest character, even though we've had pretty limited interactions so far. The stuff with the wolves is a little weird. It feels a bit disjointed at the moment, but I know where it's going, so I kind of have to put on like my director's hat to recognize that for the rest of you. But it was good. I will say the Tinker caravans in the books, they're like garishly bright and mismatched in color. Here they blend a little bit more into the aesthetic that the show is going for, and that's fine. That's fine. A couple of little side notes here. Mandarb, the horse that Lan is riding around on, is a beautiful horse. Who rides a horse to the just very edge of a cliff? I don't. Nobody does that in real life. I don't get that. Last thing I'll chat about here and that I'll mention, I really didn't understand why we were spending so much time with that bartender. And then suddenly I got it. It's because she's a dark friend. Dark friend, somebody who, well, is a friend of the Dark One. They're a servant of his, people who have pledged themselves to his cause themselves. So it was really interesting to see one of those and see what that was like within the story. And then Tom, of course, just comes right back and steals the entire scene. Overall, I think this was a good episode. I think it's strange how fast we went through episode 1, and then the pace was good for episode 2. Now for episode 3, it feels like things slowed down a little too much. Maybe some of that could have been, kind of moved around a little bit and spread out a bit better, but I'm okay with it. Definitely, by the end of episode 3, we've got a direction for people's feet to travel in. So I can see that we're going somewhere, and we've already had everybody split up into different groups. So it's just going to be really engaging from here forward to follow those different plot lines. And I hope that they each maintain their own strength so that we don't find ourselves watching one just waiting for the next. But I think this episode is a 7.5, maybe an 8. It's right there. It's late. I'm tired. Yeah. I'm definitely not disappointed. I want to see what's going on moving forward. And I don't really have any spoiler talk to talk about with those of you who have read all of the books in this one. There was certainly more of that I should have done in the first and second episode, but it's off the cuff, so what are you going to do, right? All right, y'all, have a good night, and I will talk to you next time.